This happened a few months ago. I had just finished a long day at work and decided to take a different route home. The sun was setting, casting eerie shadows along the empty streets. I usually enjoyed the quiet, but that night felt different. There was an unsettling stillness in the air, as if the world was holding its breath. As I drove, I noticed a flickering light in the distance. It was coming from an old, abandoned gas station. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled over to investigate. The place looked like it hadn't been touched in years, with weeds growing through the cracks in the pavement and the windows boarded up. But that flickering light was persistent, almost beckoning me closer. I stepped out of my car, the gravel crunching under my feet. The light was coming from a small lantern sitting on the counter inside the station. I hesitated at the door, feeling a chill run down my spine. Something about the scene felt wrong, but I pushed the door open anyway. It creaked loudly, echoing in the silence. Inside, the air was stale and thick with dust. The lantern flickered, casting dancing shadows on the walls. I approached the counter, my heart racing. As I reached for the lantern, I heard a noise behind me, a soft whisper. I turned quickly, but there was no one there. Just the empty aisles of old snacks and faded advertisements. I shook off the feeling of dread and grabbed the lantern. Just as I turned to leave, I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. A figure stood at the far end of the station, shrouded in darkness. My heart raced as I squinted to see better. It was a woman, her face obscured by a hood. She was staring directly at me, unmoving. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling. No response. I took a cautious step forward, but she vanished into the shadows. Panic surged through me, and I bolted for the door. As I reached for the handle, I heard her voice, low and haunting. "Don't leave yet." I froze, my hand hovering over the door. I turned slowly, my breath hitching in my throat. The woman was now closer, her face still hidden. "You shouldn't have come here," she said, her voice echoing in the empty space. "Who are you?" I managed to stammer, my heart pounding in my chest. She stepped into the light and I gasped. Her eyes were hollow, dark circles surrounding them, and her skin was pale and gaunt. "I'm the keeper of this place," she whispered. "You've disturbed something that should remain undisturbed." I backed away, my instincts screaming at me to run. "I didn't mean to. I just saw the light." "The light is a warning," she said, her voice rising. "You must leave before it's too late." I turned and sprinted for the door, adrenaline coursing through my veins. As I reached the exit, I felt a cold hand grip my shoulder. I screamed and twisted away, bursting through the door and into the night. I jumped into my car, fumbling with the keys as I tried to start the engine. The lantern flickered in the passenger seat, casting an eerie glow. I glanced back at the gas station, and to my horror, the woman stood in the doorway, watching me with those hollow eyes. Finally, the engine roared to life, and I sped away, my heart racing. I didn't stop until I reached the safety of my neighborhood. I parked in my driveway, breathing heavily, trying to process what had just happened. Days passed, but I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I kept the lantern in my garage, hidden away, but it seemed to pulse with an energy of its own. I started having nightmares, visions of the woman, the gas station, and the darkness that surrounded it. One night, I woke up to a soft tapping on my window. My heart raced as I turned to see the woman standing outside, her face illuminated by the moonlight. I could see her eyes now, and they were filled with sorrow. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You must help me." I was frozen in fear, unable to move or speak. She reached out, her hand pressed against the glass, and I felt a chill wash over me. "You're the only one who can break the curse," she said, her voice echoing in my mind. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to help her, but I was terrified. The next day, I drove back to the gas station, determined to confront whatever was haunting me. As I approached, the air grew heavy, and the flickering light returned, beckoning me inside. I stepped through the door, and the woman appeared once more. "You've come back," she said, her voice a mix of relief and desperation. "You must listen." She explained that the gas station was cursed, a place where lost souls gathered. She had been trapped there for years, unable to move on. "You have the power to free me," she said, her eyes pleading. I felt a surge of determination. "What do I need to do?" "Light the lantern and speak my name," she instructed. "Only then can I be released." I took a deep breath and lit the lantern, its warm glow filling the room. "What's your name?" I asked, my voice steady. "Clara," she replied, her voice trembling. "Say my name, and I will be free." "Clara," I said, my voice echoing in the silence. "You are free." The lantern flickered violently, and a gust of wind swept through the station. Clara's form began to shimmer, and for a moment, I saw her as she once was, full of life and light. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice fading into the wind. The light dimmed. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The gas station felt different now, lighter somehow. I stepped outside, the sun shining brightly for the first time in days. I knew I had done the right thing. From that day on, I never saw Clara again, but I often thought of her. The gas station remained abandoned, but the darkness that once surrounded it had lifted. I learned that sometimes facing our fears can lead to unexpected freedom, both for ourselves and for others.